Welcome to White Hart Lane, a cold night with a fierce wind blowing, but what promises to be an excellent night of European football. The Russian side on the left there in the red shirts, Dynamo Tbilisi, are said by Spurs players to be just about the best side they've faced in Europe for years. Even so, Spurs came away from the first leg in Russia a fortnight ago with a 1-1 draw, and that puts them in a good position tonight, though this tie, believe me, is far from over yet. Let's now catch up on the Spurs side. Cyril Knowles is out of defence. Martin Peters, though, is fit, and Alan Gilzean is among the substitutes. Terry Naylor, in fact, gets the number 3 shirt, and Chris McGrath, the young Belfast boy, is at number 7. The Russian player that the Spurs team felt was the biggest threat to them was their number 7, Machaidze. There he is in the centre, a 20-year-old winger with tremendous skill and pace. Indeed, he can do 100 metres in 11 seconds. And in this Tbilisi side tonight, 6 internationals. The best known of all, of course, is the captain, Kutsilava, who indeed is the number 4 and is also the captain of the Russian national side. Djordjashvili, the number 2, is another very well-known international player. So they are a side with flair and experience. And the crowd, with the petrol troubles that we've had and with the rail troubles that we had, disappointingly small, but I think they might be the lucky ones. The referee tonight is from France, René Vigliani, and it's going to be Spurs in their all-white strip to kick off. The Russians, in fact, had a little bit of an emergency on the way here. They arrived here without their kit and have had to borrow red shirts, shorts and stockings from Spurs. Happily, they had their boots with them. Remember, Spurs 1-1 after the first leg. And there's Kutsilava, the skipper, the number 4, getting the ball down to line 2, only to Ralph Coates, who scored the vital goal for Spurs in Tbilisi in Georgia. And a foul there by Philip Beale on the number 10, Nodia. Dynamo Tbilisi, who finished 5th in the Russian league, which finished a few weeks ago. And now Mike England getting in, but the number 11, Kipiani, crossing it in there, and Jennings for Tottenham. Chivers coming for this one, heading it back for Ray Evans. A really blustery night there, the wind mostly behind the Russian players there, as McGrath gets in, couldn't quite get it across enough, and so it'll be a goal kick to Tottenham. Peters now, putting it straight to Asatiani, as the Russians now pick it up again. Machaidze. Still Machaidze, and there was a deflection, and that very nearly went in off the number 11, Kipiani. Jennings really would have known very little about that. And here we see Machaidze cutting inside John Pratt, and you'll see a deflection after he's hit it. There's the deflection, and it almost caught Jennings out. The deflection coming off the 11. Well, the feet there of the number 3, Tblisi, too high. It'll be a free kick to Tottenham. Men in the Russian wall, and Peters curling one in there. Chivers hoping to nod it back, and McGrath would have been there waiting for it, but instead it's Naylor. A good chest trap by him, and now Pratt. Spurs with a lot of men forward. Here's Chivers, it's with Coates, and that'll be another throw, and Chivers already on this side of the field. It'll probably be the throw for him. And again, Mike England has gone into that Russian 6-yard area towards the near post, and it had to be fisted there by the goalkeeper. McGrath trying to lay it back there for Pratt, and the Russians getting it away as far as Philip Beale. Evans picking up Naylor very neatly there. goal kick. Beale. And again, Hutsilava there, way above Martin Peters, but now Perryman to Coates for Tottenham. Beaten though by the number 6 Tblisi, and Coates fighting back and winning, and the crowd enjoyed that little bit of determination by Ralph Coates. Here's Peters with the cross, and another corner for Tottenham. That time off Hinchagashvili. Evans hit first time, quickening it up. Peters! Oh, very close indeed. The value of an early ball played inside there by Evans was seen to full extent. As we see now, as the cross comes in, Peters just a fraction wide. And offside, and that was a very late flag by the linesman on this side. Came to the right conclusion because Nodia, the number 10, was offside, but he was rather late putting his flag up. Slightly annoyed, the Russian. But Spurs get the free kick. Mike England again will take it. Towards Martin Peters, being carefully watched by Georgiashvili. Azatiani. Azatiani again. Kipiani beaten though by the challenge of Ray Evans. Georgiashvili with the throw for Dynamo Tbilisi. Azatiani and Kipiani. Throw to Tbilisi. Leaving it for Georgiashvili, very, very experienced Russian international. Machaidze again getting past John Pratt, and that was a good piece of play by Beale, but it's not away yet by any means. And Spurs were in a lot of trouble there, and they're still not out of it. Azatiani to Hutsilava, a man with a tremendous shot, as we've seen once or twice before in internationals, although Spurs snuffed him out there. But now Gutsayev slipping past Pratt, faced by Naylor, and Spurs under a lot of pressure there and conceding the corner. So a corner to the Russians. Gutsayev will take it. And again, Martin Peters was right back there. Georgiashvili trying to let one fly through a whole ruck of players, this Russian number 2, but a goal kick to Tottenham. Tackle from behind, although Naylor did his utmost to make contact with the ball through Gutsayev's legs. Free kick to Russia, to Dynamo Tbilisi, and a good run there by Kipiani. Push by Hutsilava on Chivers. The Russian captain claiming that Chivers was backing into him. A free kick to Tottenham. 25 minutes of the first half gone. Chivers and Pratt behind the ball. Peters also joining them now, going back. And a wall only about 5 yards away, but Chivers trying to blast the way through. Falls for Naylor, and now for Pratt. Naylor again. Nicely trying to get past Georgiashvili, but he's a very swift fullback, and he recovered very quickly. but Spurs get a corner. Again, John Pratt's taking it, and again Mike England has come up, and again it's deep towards England, and he got the header in, and it was so very, very close. Brilliant header there by Mike England, and Martin Peters was almost in at the death. As the corner came across from John Pratt, just look at the way Mike England comes in for the header. With all the power in the world, they just keep it out, and even then Martin Peters couldn't quite get in there for the death. So it's a goal kick then to a much relieved Dynamo Tbilisi side. Defensive header that time, an unfair one by Mike England. Free kick to the Russians. Kochilava, the skipper, gesturing that he wants his players to spread out a bit. They are funneling through the middle a little too much, not making very much use of the wings. Azetiani with the header, Mike England again getting it away. Kipiani, number 11, after it. Back to the number 5, Inchagashvili. Machayadze. Tblisi, forward again there, but Nodia, and that looked like handball by England, and it was handball by England, and a free kick given to the Russians. This might just be the occasion when someone like Kochilava, possessor of a really powerful kick, and particularly with the wind behind him now, might well have a blasted goal. Azetiani is the big man standing over the ball, but Hertzilava just behind him, but there's the number 7 and a shot that's well wide by Machayadze. And it'll have to be taken again, because I think it must have been that the Spurs wall was not the fully 10 yards back. So the Russians get another go. Will they vary it this time? And it's Hertzilava instead, and that was a tremendous shot again. No more than a foot too high. By Hertzilava, number 4. Peters' header. McGrath. Peters. Played wide again towards Coates and Evans. Coates getting it across nicely, and McGrath has scored! Chris McGrath, the young Belfast boy, has put Spurs ahead. The 18-year-old, who was a bit of a gamble for Billy Nicholson, bringing him into the side in place of Gilzean. Here's the cross from Ralph Coates, hit to perfection, and just watch young Chris McGrath go in, directed downwards and in. On the half hour then, McGrath put Spurs into the lead. Kerriman. Spurs, whose league form this season has been anything but impressive, looking for a good run in the cup somewhere, and hoping that again it might be the UEFA Cup, which of course they've already won once. Georgiashvili getting that one away for Tbilisi. Here's Coates again, this time for Peters. And Spurs looking better now as the cross comes in towards Pratt, and he put that goalkeeper under enormous pressure. A foul and a free kick though. Georgiashvili for Dynamo Tbilisi. Azetiani, oh, a nice piece of play there by the Russian number 8. Peel, and now Kerriman. Playing for Chivers. Georgiashvili is after him, and Chivers again getting in an early cross, going off Tblisi, the number 3, and a corner for Tottenham. Good run down the wing by Chivers. But a corner which John Pratt again will take. England again, who was so close a couple of minutes ago, is right in there once more, and the goalkeeper didn't come for that one. McGrath turning it back towards Chivers, and Chivers' boot just a little too high on the Russian defender. But the referee, seeing that Tblisi were in possession, has allowed it to go on, and it's Nodia, number 10, in for Hinchagashvili. Foul there by Philip Beal gives the Russians a free kick. Kipiani, number 11. Played wide toward Djordjashvili. And Chivers, if he can get away. Well, he's got two onto him now, and he can't get away. Machaidze tackled fairly from behind by Coates. Free kick to the Russians. Tblisi, number 3, with the kick. Machaidze. Still Machaidze. Played for Hertzilava. Gutsayev. Machaidze. Gutsayev. And the cross where men are waiting, but England was waiting also. And Peters too. Pratt now, a nice ball there towards McGrath. Djordjashvili. Gutsayev. Kipiani. And Kipiani again. Cut out by Philip Beal. And Naylor can turn it back to Jennings. Azatiani. And this is a dangerous looking ball. Coates getting back, and they were so close there from Tblisi. Number 6 popping up from the midfield. A good ball here by Azatiani, and the number 6 there leaving Ralph Coates, Tblisi, and Jennings coming out to make life difficult, and the ball just wide. Jennings doing well to make the job difficult for the Russian. McGrath to Coates. Goal kick. England. McGrath. And now Coates. Good turn of pace again there by Coates. And Peters! Beautiful skills there in that Tottenham breakaway by Coates with the run, and then by Peters catching it on the half volley. This is the end of the run by Coates. He's got in some good crosses tonight, and on the half volley, Peters almost judging that to a nicety. And here's McGrath again, this time for Martin Chivers. Rather a strong challenge there on Chivers, but Evans taking it up and threading it through the defence there for Ralph Coates. Crossed in again, and it didn't quite come to McGrath. Evans hitting one full-blooded and first time, and with a chance to get his cross in, but that again was beaten down by Hinchagashvili. Azatiani. 4-5 Russian forwards up now, joined by Djordjashvili, the fullback. Machaidze, beaten by Beal, and a free kick given. So in the last seconds of the first half, a chance maybe for the Russians to get back on equal terms from this free kick from an interesting position just outside the Spurs penalty area. And they planted all but 2 players forward for it. Azatiani is the number 8, Djordjashvili the number 2, 3 men in that Spurs wall. Azatiani playing it there, and Machaidze making a terrible mess of it. Gutsayev. Machaidze. And Kurtsilava again in a very dangerous position, and England was so aware of that Russian captain's shooting power. He came streaking out of the box to take the ball from him. But it's not away yet. Kipiani and Kurtsilava again right in there. Machaidze. And there's Chivers right back there doing a defensive job, but the Russians still a long way from being beaten. Now got the number 6 crossing, he can again there. Gutsayev tried to get up. Machaidze, and there's a tremendous shot, and it's not away yet by Kurtsilava against the post, and a corner for the Russians. A corner for the Russians, and they were so unlucky there in the last minute or so before half-time with a shot by Kurtsilava. A corner then, hitting the post. Georgiashvili with the corner as the whistle goes very dramatically at the end of the first half, and Spurs somewhat shakily now holding on to that 1-0 lead. The goal scored after half an hour by Chris McGrath with a header from a cross by Ralph Coates. There's McGrath, the happy Irish boy who's put Spurs into the lead. So half-time then, Spurs leading 1-0, and we'll bring you the second half in a couple of minutes. Welcome back then to White Hart Lane at the second half now of this third-round match in the UEFA Cup between Spurs and Dynamo Tblisi of Russia. The Russians in the red shirts with the black shorts, and Spurs, of course, leading 1-0. Evans putting it back to Pat Jennings, playing here for a place, Spurs and the Russians, for a place in the quarter-finals. Spurs, of course, leading by 2-1 on aggregate, having drawn 1-1 in Russia a fortnight ago. Kurtsilava, the Russian captain, to Azatiani. Forward to Nodia. Number 3 is Tblisi. Kipiani. But behind is number 5, Shagashvili. And it'll be a throw to Tottenham with Ralph Coates. Much easier to pronounce. Evans. Chivers coming away from the defence, but not nodding it on with any great degree of accuracy. Spurs, of course, in this second half will have quite a strong wind at their backs. Gutsayev. Machaidze to Georgiashvili. The long raking pass there, Nodia. In fact, didn't make a touch on it, and Naylor has given them a great chance there. And that very nearly was a terrible mistake there by Terry Naylor. Ebralidze almost got there before Jennings. And that surely now will wake Spurs up. Leading 1-0, but certainly in no position to play funny games like that. Pratt. A good, powerful shot there by John Pratt, but wide. And a goal kick there for the Russians. Terry Naylor, long and high into the Russian half of the field. And this been tactics that might well pay off, with the defenders put under pressures by forwards coming hard at them, as Chivers is often apt to do. Tblisi brought down from behind by Pratt, a free kick. Where Pratt feels the Russian may have helped it all by diving. Georgiashvili with the kick. Nodia, haven't seen very much of him. Very much there. He's given it to Ralph Coates. Stopped by Tblisi, but stopped unfairly, giving Spurs the free kick, which they might want to take fairly quickly. Evans is there now. Peters coming in, trying to get in there before Hertzilava. Evans again. England had gone up for that free kick and had stayed up. Coates. Still Coates. Good play there by Ralph Coates. Oh, and a great header there by Mike England. And that puts Spurs 2-0 ahead. It was Chivers, in fact, who got the header in. As Coates came in again. And there he goes, diving in with that header. And big Martin Chivers. England was right in there and was close to Chivers, but it was Chivers who got that touch. And both goals have been made for Spurs tonight by Ralph Coates. Both crosses by him. And that certainly gives Spurs a bit of breathing space. Now it's Asatiani. And the Russians really have a job facing the wind and facing a 2-goal deficit. And here's Hertzilava instantly coming forward out of a defensive position. Gudsayev, Kipiani, and still Kipiani. And that wasn't very far over either. Well, a very heartwarming start for the crowd and the Spurs supporters in this second half. Chivers with the header. Martin Peters. Now it's Naylor. Georgiashvili's gone with him, and Naylor harassed him enough to force him to pass it straight to Chivers, and now Asatiani for the Russians. Tblisi to Machaidze. Gudsayev. And a corner to Tblisi. Gudsayev. Oh, and it's a goal there, scored by the number 6, Tblisi. And Tblisi has put the Russians back into the game. As the cross came over, hit low and firmly, it's Tblisi, the number 6, who just gets the touch past Pat Jennings. 2-1. So now the game wide open again, and it's Coates taking it up. Well, what a good start to the second half, but the cross all dropped there, and McGrath almost got the foot in. Philip Beale with the header. Oh, England nodding that one straight to Nodia, but getting it back quickly enough. By McGrath. Machayidze again, though, for the Russians. 4 men up now in their attack. Eagerly seeking their second goal that could well put them into the next round. Here's Kipiani, but it's got away by Perryman to Peters. And now played for Coates. Naylor. This time a beautiful ball there by Naylor to his fellow full-back Ray Evans, and a curling cross once more which had the goalkeeper going, and he had to palm that one away for the corner to Tottenham. So number 5, Hinchagashvili, right in there. Martin Peters in there. Martin Chivers at the near post. Here comes the corner again. Curling on the wing once more. Mike England is in there. And headed in by Martin Peters. Mike England got the head of the counter in the first place. And Martin Peters tucked it behind the goalkeeper in the second place. And that is 3-1 now to Tottenham. As the corner came over, look at Mike England lurking in there, winning a very important header for Tottenham. And a good reflex there by Martin Peters. And that is 3-1 now. Well, that gives Spurs just a little bit of breathing space once more. There's something like 18 minutes left. 4-2 ahead now on aggregate. Peters once more in pursuit. Kurtzilava is there too. Azatiani just touching it on there. I don't think he really meant to do it, but he got it there nonetheless. And Hinchagashvili, number 5. Inside now for Tblisi, the man who scored the 1 goal so far for the Russians. A throw given to Tottenham. Kipiani didn't care for too much. Evans back for Jennings. Naylor. Forward for Peters. And now John Pratt. Peters again. McGrath is in there once more. Played back and hit first time, and hit across the goal there by Pratt, and it worked for Tottenham because they're in there once more. And still the Russians haven't got it fully away because Evans can play it here for Mike England. Chivers up, and Tblisi didn't know where it was. Azatiani played a nice ball there for Machayidze. This time for Nodia. Naylor going across to challenge him, and a free kick there given against Terry Naylor on the edge of the area. Naylor hustling just a little too vigorously into Nodia. So free kick. Georgiashvili with the free kick. Tblisi again in a strong attacking position, but Jennings happy to let it go behind for the goal kick to Tottenham. Certainly a much better second half than first. Chivers back for John Pratt. Played this time for Perryman. Coates and Evans again doing that faithful overlap, and Coates getting in his shot, but it was gobbled up nicely there by Gogia in the Dynamo Tblisi goal. Now it's McGrath. Perryman to Pratt. Turned in towards Peters, and the linesman was flagging for offside. The rain really squalling down here at White Hart Lane, with Spurs leading 3-1, 4-2 on aggregate, just about a quarter of an hour to go. Oh, Beale misjudged that one, but won it back again. Chivers very deep indeed, and now that long stride of his taking it into the Russian half. Peters, turn on again for Chivers, but Djordjashvili is there, could tuck it back, and he almost made a mess of it. Passes, no matter what the length, are so difficult to judge in these conditions with this very, very high wind. Azatiani, Kipiani, Nodia to his brother Levan Nodia, and another corner for the Russians. Levan Nodia will take it. Beale away towards Chivers, just about the only Spurs player who'd been left up. Now Pratt is up there. Well, that's straight to Kutsilava, and now Djordjashvili. Azatiani. Kipiani. Trying to jink his way past Evans, and he succeeded, but it comes off Terry Naylor. Behind for another corner. Something like 5 corners the Russians have had in the last 10 minutes or so. And again, Levan Nodia, the number 12, the substitute. Too high for all of them, but there's the dark figure of Kutsilava again on the far side. And well tackled by the opposing skipper there, Martin Peters. The throw given to Tottenham. Perryman, Pratt alongside him, and away out on the left, here's Terry Naylor. Onto his unfavoured right foot, but getting in a nice-looking cross there. McGrath was in there too, Chivers is in there too, and Perryman hoped to pick up the pieces, but there were none to be picked up, and now England finding Coates. The cross, which wasn't high enough, Evans. Coates again, the Russians giving the ball away there. Certainly not in a position to make any presence to Tottenham at the moment. It's 3-1 down on the night. Naylor turning it in once more. McGrath was hopeful of getting in. Chivers is still in there. Back over his own head towards Peters. Back this time towards John Pratt. And now Azatiani getting it away for the Russians. The long ball, and Nodia inside his own half when that pass was played was onside. Beale back covering beautifully for Tottenham. It's with John Pratt for Tottenham. And here's Peters in a good position. Chivers and McGrath are in the middle. There's Chivers going for it again! Oh, what a fine goal by Chivers! Oh, a really beautiful goal there by Martin Chivers. And that will just about wrap it up. A lovely pass in the first place that sent Martin Peters on his way. And Peters, who was in doubt right up to the kickoff, has had a fair game himself. And Chivers, what a beautiful, delicate header. And that puts Spurs 4-1 ahead on the night. And 5-2 on aggregate. And that unquestionably the best goal of the night. Azatiani now for the Russians. That most certainly would have been the killer blow for them. They had a big enough task on their hands as it was before that beautiful bit of skill by Peters and Chivers. 4-1 on the night, 5-2 to Spurs on aggregate. A place in the quarter-final of the UEFA Cup is at stake. Kipiani putting it behind, and it's a goal kick to Tottenham. So you can see for yourself just the sort of weather we've got here. It's not a big crowd, but they've enjoyed a particularly good game, with Spurs showing so much better form, as they so often do in cup tournaments, than they have in the league. Pat Jennings then with the goal kick for Spurs. Peters pushed in the back there by number 3, Tblisi. And Spurs moving with confidence now. Pratt crossing it in once more, and Martin Peters behind the ball! And Martin Peters has added another one! So the man who was injured and in doubt until the very last moment has put Spurs well clear with the pass that made Chivers the 4th goal, and now scoring the 5th himself. Taking the free kick himself, John Pratt inching in perfectly, and there's Peters ghosting in behind that defence again and nodding it down beautifully. 5-1 on the night, 6-2 on aggregate. So Peters and Chivers a couple apiece, and Chris McGrath the one that set them on the way. But here are the Russians again. Tblisi coming through, and Jennings was again so quickly off his line, and Coates was tackling back very hard and well. So it'll be a goal kick then to Tottenham. And this is probably as well as Spurs have played all season. Pratt. And too high for Martin Peters on that occasion, so the Russians will get it away once more. Here to Tblisi, the man who gave them just a glimmer of hope early in this second half when he pulled the score back to 2-1. Kipiani. And again Tblisi was going right through there. It comes back for Kipiani once more. And that'll be a corner for the Russians. So 5 minutes left. And a corner to Dynamo Tblisi. Georgiashvili, their full-back, is the man to take it. And again, Mike England. What a superb game England has had, both in defence and when he's come up for dead ball situations. And here's Chivers, who really tonight has looked much more like his old self, and he's gone almost the length of the field. Oh, and what a shot there, bouncing off the fists of the goalkeeper. The crowd are really rising to Chivers, and Chivers has just punched the air in return to them. He must be feeling much more like the old Chivers at the moment. He's certainly looking very much like the man who was the scourge of defences throughout the First Division a couple of years ago. Coates again for Tottenham. Kipiani. Okay, to the number 9, Azatiani, and now here's Nodia. And hit first time, but very wide and high there by Machadias. So a goal kick. Pat Jennings with a kick for Tottenham. Perryman. And Peters now for McGrath, coming nicely away from that defender. Evans sending him on his way, and Peters was in there once more, and Hertzalava giving away the corner. John Pratt will take it. England again is up. Peters in the 6-yard area. Chivers is lying deep as well as Evans cross it in once more. Now Coates will hope to get on the scoring sheet, but he can't, and the Russians bring it away with Azatiani. Kipiani stopped by Naylor. Russian very skillfully keeping possession there, in spite of the unfair harassment of the Spurs defender. And here's Nodia, Leven Nodia. Azatiani having it taken off his feet once more, that time by John Pratt. McGrath to Perryman. McGrath again. McGrath to Perryman once more. What a good piece of play again by Tottenham. And McGrath is through. Russians coming back quickly. Peters hitting it first time, but straight at the goalkeeper. Last couple of minutes of the game now. I think everybody who's faced a difficult journey getting here and has faced some pretty appalling weather once they got here have been very well rewarded by this Spurs performance. 5-1 ahead. And really playing as well as they played at any time this season. But here's Kipiani showing again very graceful skills. Back there for Nodia, but his shooting was way off the mark. And it'll be a throw to Tottenham. Spurs 6-2 ahead on aggregate, and now as certain as anyone can be that they're in the quarter-finals of the UEFA Cup. Chivers the long ball forward out of defence to Martin Peters. Tblisi. Here's Machaidze again. Azatiani losing it. And now Pratt. Chivers is up there again, and Spurs have got a lot of players forward. Here's John Pratt once more. And he's no! Well, my eyes deceived me for a moment there. It cracked against the back stanchion. And for a moment it looked as though he'd added number 6. But it's still 5-1 and 6-2 on aggregate to Tottenham. Martin Peters. Forward again for Chivers. Oh, and a beautiful save there by the goalkeeper Godia. As the final whistle goes, when Chivers nearly made it 3 and nearly made it 6 for Tottenham, but Chivers has had a magnificent match with those 2 goals of his, 2 to Martin Peters, 1 to Chris McGrath that set them on their way, with the number 6 Tblisi scoring for Tblisi. The crowd rising to Spurs, because this has been a fine Tottenham performance against a very good Russian side. It puts Spurs in the last 8 of the UEFA Cup, led off by Martin Peters, the skipper who himself has had a fine game. No weaknesses tonight really in the Spurs side. And goals galore. As we say goodnight to you, I think we should see again probably the finest goal of the night. And it was the goal scored by Martin Chivers, with the cross coming from Martin Peters. Good night to you all.